Good morning, everyone. I am Sergeant Ashley Jenrette of the Hampton Police Division's Public Information Office. We'd like to welcome you to our press conference as we discuss our most recent double homicide that occurred on Nickerson Boulevard Friday, November 18th, 2022. Before I get started, I would like to introduce to you our command staff that stands behind me. I can provide names and spellings after the press conference. We have Lieutenant Brent Gaynor, Captain Frank Edmonds, Chief Mark Talbot, Deputy Chief Orrin Gallup, Captain Jason Price, and Captain Rebecca Warren. I will turn it over to Chief Talbot.
All right, good morning. I'm Mark Talbot, and I'm the police chief here for the Hampton Police Division. I'm here with members of our executive team, and we're here to update you on the tragic double homicide that occurred in our city on the night of November 18th at 10:43 p.m. That night we received numerous 911 calls from residents who reported hearing gunfire in the area of Nickerson Boulevard and Bridgeport Cove Road. Officers who were also fairly close by heard gunshots and responded to the scene from a short distance away. When officers arrived, they discovered a young male who was lying in the roadway. The young male was suffering from a gunshot wound. The young man was later identified as a 14-year-old juvenile. This juvenile is from our city. A very short time later, we received a report of a second shooting victim who was about a mile away on Silver Isles Boulevard. The second victim was also suffering from a gunshot wound. That man was later identified as 18-year-old Sean Fauntleroy of Newport News. Both the 14-year-old juvenile and the 18-year-old, who we later identified as Sean Fauntleroy, were pronounced dead shortly after officers encountered them. Later, a couple of hours later, we received a phone call from the mother of a 16-year-old from Newport News who was reportedly also suffering from gunshot wounds. Through investigation, we determined that the 16-year-old was involved in the same incident. Captain Jason Price, who is standing behind me on my left, is the Deputy Commander of our Detective Bureau. He's going to talk more about the investigation and what we found, and then we will take questions. These events are tragic. They're truly heartbreaking. And we want to, first of all, offer our condolences to the families of the young men here. Our prayers are with you. The events are also tragic for our residents, those who live and work in areas impacted by gun violence. You should all know we will continue to work relentlessly to increase the level of safety in our city. Gun violence and homicide in particular, we should remember, is also tragic for our officers who have worked tirelessly over the weekend and up until today to bring justice to these men. I want to remind our residents to continue to partner with us so that we can continue to do everything we can to jointly make the city safe. If anybody out there has seen anything that they think could be related to these incidents, I'd encourage you to call us and make sure that we have all the information that we need to do our jobs. With that, I'll turn it over to Captain Price.
Good morning. The investigation thus far has revealed that all three of these individuals were occupying a vehicle in the 200 block of Bridgeport Cove. Shortly after they parked their vehicle, multiple individuals approached the vehicle, fired guns, striking the vehicle and the occupants multiple times. In an attempt to get help, the vehicle then left the apartment complex and drove to the Bridgeport Cove, or excuse me, to the Silver Isles area, knocked on doors, and then went to seek help. This is a tragic and senseless incident. One of the individuals was a 14-year-old. The second individual was an 18-year-old whose 19th birthday would have been Sunday, November 20th. Both are senseless and tragic. I want to thank the citizens that have provided video, have provided tips, but we still need the public's help. I urge family, friends, associates of these individuals, if you have information, to call us. You can call anonymously at 1-888-LOCK-YOU-UP, or you can text us anonymously at the P3 tip app, or if you choose not to remain anonymous, you can call us at the non-emergency number, that's 757-727-6111. We'll take questions.
Is there any indication at all that any of these incidents could have been connected to a fight that broke out between Phoebus High School and IC Northland during the football game on Friday night?
We have no evidence of that.
How many suspects are we looking for, and do we know the relationship at all between the suspects and the victims?
We won't comment on the number of suspects we are looking for, and we're not going to comment on the relationships of the people involved.
Were they all males, the 14, 16, 18-year-old?
Yes, ma'am.
How is the 16-year-old doing?
He's physically doing well.
Do we know what type of weapon was used? Weapons were used?
We do. We won't comment on that at this time, other than to say a handgun or handguns plural.
So just running through, basically this all happened at one scene, and then one of the victims fell out of the car on Bridgeport Cove. They sought help, and then that's when another victim was found, and then another victim ended up back home later on that night. Is that kind of how it all went through?
Well, you added some things that we didn't report, so I will refer back to the description that Captain Price and I gave of the sequence of events.
When the suspects approached the car, was the car like in the street? Was it parked on the side of the road? Was it like a stop sign or stop light?
Could you please repeat your question?
When the suspects approached the car, was the car like at a stoplight, or sort of where was it in the road? Can you describe that scene a little more?
I won't elaborate on what we've described in terms of the original interaction.
Is there any reason to think this is gang-related?
There is reason to believe that people may have been acting in concert with each other, but we don't have evidence to say gang-related or not.
Any idea that initial group of people that first went up to the car, how many people there may have been? Any idea at all?
We do have an idea.
Okay. Not been that out yet.
No.
Are you working in concert with the schools to see if there's any connection there?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we do very early on in the investigation is make contact with the school, both to prevent retaliatory violence and to let them know what happened so that they can do the things that are important to do inside the school. But we have been working closely with them, and they are familiar with many of the details of these investigations.
And it was 2 Newport News teams and 1 Hampton team, correct?
Correct.
Can you clarify who the driver was and whether every occupant of the car was struck and injured in the shooting?
I don't want to comment further on the details of the investigation. We're very, just to clarify, we're very early in the investigation. We certainly don't want to communicate details that would compromise the work that we're doing. We believe that there are more witnesses that could offer us help in solving these cases, so it's important that we communicate about it in as disciplined a fashion as we can.
You mentioned video earlier. Can you specify whether it's cell phone or surveillance footage from like a door cam or like a business or something like that?
We've been able to obtain video from many sources in and around this, the scenes, and a variety of types. I'd like to close, if there are no more questions, on, again, echoing the comments from Captain Price, thanking the residents. Contrary to what you hear often, lots of residents called us, lots of residents answered the door when we knocked on the door to see what's happening. We've spoken to lots of family members that are involved in these events, and the vast majority of the people that we've needed to speak to have been forthcoming with us. So we want to thank them, and we remain very hopeful about this city. We believe in this city, and we believe that we will continue to do what's necessary to solve this case and continue to head in a positive direction with gun violence.
Have you identified any, like, do you know who the suspects are at this point, and can you provide a description for people if they would just be on the lookout for any specific people?
We don't have information that we wish to share at this point. We imagine that we will soon, and we will get that to you as quickly as possible. This is only my third press conference in my tenure here in 16 months. 14-year-old child dead. We will solve these cases. We will solve these cases. And when we have suspect information to put out, we will get that out to you as quickly as possible. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chief.